Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Co-host,
Oh my goodness.
how you been, man?
Fantastic.
Any great news that has happened this past week that you want to share, talk about?
Not really.
Not really.
Other
Well,
than I'm just happy and excited.
you're happy and excited to be here? I am
Yes.
too. I'm glad, excited to be, back on the set for another episode. So let's jump right into it.
Go Bills.
Okay. They don't pay you for for that
I'm just
statement.
saying.
They so let's
We're here to talk biblical, but go Bills.
all right. Go Jesus.
I agree. I'm with that.
Oh man. Okay. So we talked about this before in a live discussion. Yeah, I don't even have the first couple of chapters in my Bible,
glory.
but this is a Bible that somebody put in work. Papers in here, notes,
Yep.
pages. Yours looks a little crispy. Your Bible looks a little clean. Mine is man, the pages falling up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But
It's probably the only Bible you have looking like that. I have several that look like that.
okay, dude. How old are you? You got me with like 20
I'm
years.
just saying, you're trying to say like this Bible looks crispy. This is the
It
new
does.
one.
It looks super
I'm about
crispy.
to go through the 12th Bible that I've had.
I know that, but I think you had that Bible for like 4 years now.
No.
So.
We went digital. We went digital. So you can't mark up digital. You don't have frayed pages with digital.
That is true. We're gonna talk about one of your pet peeves. You talked about it before in a live discussion, but
Oh boy.
let's fine tune it a little bit and
All right.
get to discussing.
What is Pastor Steve's pet peeves? Wait, let me guess. Can I guess? That you're gonna discuss?
Well, we're live, so go ahead, guess.
We're not live right now.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
They're gonna be seeing this. You're gonna watch your back.
All right. You know what I mean. Laziness?
Yes, we're gonna talk about.
Oh boy. Get ready.
laziness.
We're going to talk about laziness, people. Something a Christian should not possess. Being tired is one thing.
Okay.
I respect being tired. You put in a good day's work, you're tired. Go home, rest yourself, right?
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with you being tired. If I saw you working all day and you came up to me and said, Pastor Steve, I'm tired, man, praise God, you worked hard.
Or if it's my days off and you happen to see to see me.
I don't even know what days off means, but okay, cool. A day of rest. The Lord does respect. He gave us the Sabbath, right?
Right.
So I respect that. Rest.
Right.
But even the Bible says he gave you 6 days to what? Rest?
No.
Right. He gave you what? 6 days to work.
Yeah.
And the 7th day, he gives you 1 day to rest.
Glad you're not in a collective bargaining.
I don't care. Well, those are good, but they're also taking advantage of
6 days of work.
6 days
Okay.
of work. I'm just saying I don't know what rest is. I don't know what days off are. Because even from the secular side of working and having my days off, I'm still working. Which again, you're still making yourself diligent to achieve things or to get things done. But if the Bible says he gave us 6 days to work, and I'm not telling you to put in a 6 days work week, what I'm telling you is obviously the mindset is get out of this lazy mentality and put some effort into wanting to see things in your life. I'm not sure where you're going with this, but you opened up the door and I just spoke.
Yeah, it's one of your pet peeves, so I can
And you know I go
understand.
crazy on this. It bothers me deeply.
I think we can tell.
Deeply. There's even a verse about ministerial work regarding the importance of diligence in ministerial work. Like, go ahead. I know you're trying to go somewhere.
Absolutely. No. This is a great discussion. So you stated something that I want to address. You talked about getting out of this lazy mindset. You know, I like to believe that maybe sometimes people aren't lazy by choice. And what I mean by that
you
is,
better quantify
thank you.
that.
What I mean by that is, in their mindset, they could be thinking that they're doing something that's godly, but in actuality, it actually brings about laziness because they could be waiting for God to do something, but yet, in all actuality, God has already laid out how He's waiting on them to do things, right? So and I want to pick that up a little later, but just on that thinking of when you're saying get out of laziness, where do you think this mindset to be lazy came from? Like, is there just some kind of misconception that, you know, believers or people in general just where do you get that from? If you see Adam and Eve, or at least Adam from the beginning, where do we see the first, I don't want to say the first lazy person, but where do you think this mindset transpires now that we have, you know, laziness?
Yeah, I don't know if we would even be able to answer that. However, I get where you're going, so let's just kind of like work through some thoughts, okay?
Okay.
At least we can do that.
Right? Because you believe, and I hope probably that's what you're going to share, God always established work. So I don't know if maybe that is just the starting point right there. Maybe some people don't feel like we was always called to work, that work could necessarily be some kind, half of it is like a curse or something.
I believe that there's several philosophies in the world, okay, in regards to what we're dealing with right now, and in what direction somebody takes it determines the output they give in society, right? So first I want to address is what you just brought up in regards to waiting on the Lord. That might be perceived as laziness, right? I'm not looking at that piece, waiting on the Lord, and their misunderstanding of what it means to wait on the Lord versus waiting on the Lord doesn't negate the fact you have work to do. You with me?
Right.
So just because you're using I'm waiting on the Lord, cool, I respect it. That doesn't mean you sit in your house waiting on the Lord. It just simply means you're waiting on God to operate in a manner that is outside of normal or natural, but yet you still have to function in the natural. So that when He steps in, it becomes what? Supernatural. He acts in the midst of that, right? He does something. But at the same time, we don't sit around doing nothing. Okay? So when you share that, I get it. I get people's misunderstanding of what it means to wait on the Lord. My reference of laziness is people not doing what they are mandated to do just in the natural setting, just in the natural responsibilities of an individual. If it's being a parent, a worker, a citizen, a student, an athlete, why is it that we understand the premiums of output or is based on effort in all of these scenarios, but when it comes to me and my personal well-being, I feel like it's okay for me to be lazy. Eventually it'll show up, or I'll get to it, or I'm just too tired to do something. Like, if you don't expect your favorite football team to go to practice every day, you can't expect them to show up to win a Super Bowl. Raising the trophy, that is only the result of hours and hours and hours of effort. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Did I go off on a tangent?
No. It's good. I just can we go through some scriptures to see where God instituted work?
Absolutely.
I just want to be able to.
Will you be able to turn to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1?
I won't be able to, but I'll be able to listen.
Sheesh.
I'll be able to listen.
That's crazy.
I want now what you're saying to be able to tie with some verses now, as you talk about the natural, because God is mandating certain laws that are not supernatural things. If He says love your neighbor, that's not supernatural.
Correct.
So, I would like for us to work through, because how I've been raised and taught was that part
Let's work backwards.
backwards. Okay.
Let's work backwards.
All right.
Okay?
So
You understand what I mean by working backwards?
the person's already lazy, and now we're trying to work back
Correct.
to God.
Maybe because you asked where did the philosophy come from?
Okay, all
so
right.
kind of like let's work backwards, and maybe we'll identify possible misconceptions.
All right. So if I work backwards, then my mindset is,
I just want to work backwards with one piece, maybe just this one piece first. Let's go
Okay.
there. So let's look at the curse, the assumption of when God cursed the ground after Adam and Eve have sinned. He said, "You shall work at the sweat of your brow." Right?
right.
Let me read it. Let's just read
Yeah,
it.
'cause I know there was a
Genesis chapter 3. Okay?
Oh, I think I may have. Oh, no, I don't know what the.
But you hit it in your heart, so you'll be good.
Yep, that I might not sin against him.
That's awesome. So in Genesis chapter 3, starting at verse 17, this is God speaking to Adam after Adam and Eve have sinned.
I got you.
Okay, you got it?
I got it.
So, okay. Why don't you read verse 17 for me?
And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife. Man.
Don't even.
Oh,
Don't even.
just joking. Love you, babe.
Don't even. Don't even. You listen to the voice of thy wife.
And hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Semicolon. Verse 18.
Verse 18, capital T, thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, semicolon,
This dude.
and
Read.
thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thy return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken.
Wast thou taken?
That's was? Okay, I don't know. Wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return.
Bam. Now, what I mean by working backwards is that there is this presupposition that the reason why we work, keep in mind, we're talking about work and laziness and so on. The reason why we work is because Adam and Eve transgressed God's law of thou shalt not eat of the tree of good and evil.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
because it does say
Wait a
in the
minute.
sweat.
Wait a minute.
All right.
It doesn't say I'm going to curse you to work, as if at that moment of time, work now was instituted into the natural realm for Adam and Eve to function in. As if that the trees were just going to bear fruit and that they were able to just frolic through the garden and do nothing to deal with how to landscape and do agricultural work in order for the first tree, right, to endure or exist forever bearing fruit forever. Are y'all with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. As if when we read chapter 3, we're thinking that work was instituted then, because it says, listen to what it says. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return into the,
That's not 17. That's 19. But go ahead.
I'm sorry, wait.
17 talks about how thou shalt not eat it. Curse the ground for thy sake.
And shalt thou eat of it all the days of life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth, that's what it, and shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread. So when you look at that,
Till thy return into the ground. So that means till the death.
right, that now it's going to be laborious for you to eat or to harvest to eat. You with me? So in our minds, we're thinking, oh man, dang, if Adam didn't sin and if Eve didn't sin, we'd be able to live a lot easier lives right now, so on and so forth. Okay, cool. As if work was never a natural responsibility of humanity when God created them in the beginning. Now, let's look at what God said after he had created Adam and Eve, because this is after the fact, okay? Later, after when he gives them the commandment, the original commandment.
But before the curse, you're saying?
Before the curse.
Yeah. I don't got that chapter. Go ahead, read it.
Chapter 1, verse 27 says this. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Verse 28. And God blessed them. Listen. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowls of the air, over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I give unto thee herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Now, when we look at this, when we read this, right, people might ask, okay, so when God blessed him, he said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over it. What is he saying? What is he saying?
Yeah, I don't see where he's saying there that they got to work.
You don't.
No.
So what is it?
And to be honest, from reading that and then hearing that contrast about that sweat of, now that they're going to have to sweat to eat bread, it's more and more seeming like to me, Adam and Eve, well, if he ain't listened to his wife,
Really?
you know, we wouldn't be in this predicament. I wouldn't have to be working this, you know,
You wouldn't be
9 to
what?
5, whatever the case may be like this.
What? Wouldn't be what?
I wouldn't have to be putting all this work.
Work?
Yeah.
So what do you think it means to replenish the earth and subdue it? What does it mean by that? What does it mean to subdue?
To have control over, I believe.
Think about it. What is he doing? What are you doing if you're subduing it? What is it that you're, what do you think he's doing with the field? Like, what do you think he's supposed to do with the field that God gave him for meat? What is it that he's doing? Why would there be seed bearing fruit after its kind for a tree? If that original tree was going to produce everlasting, why would it need the seed bearing fruit after its kind? Why would there need to be seed if the tree the original tree is going to continue to bear fruit? What would be the need of having seed? Unless it needed to be harvested, unless it needed to be planted. How are you? Who's doing that?
Okay. I mean, that's a little light action, but all right, I feel you.
I'm asking though, how is this?
But where's he getting the rain and the sun and all that from?
Let's go a little bit further. Let's make it a little bit more challenging. How is the fruit coming off the tree into a pot or into my belly? How is that? If there's no work involved. And if I'm supposed to have children, I'm feeding my children who can't do that themselves. How is this happening? How is this happening?
Okay, so they got to work to make sure that they eat. But it ain't like the
No,
work.
not just, yes, to eat. Well, Jack, what are you doing when you go to work today? You have to put food on your children's
Yeah,
table.
that work is a whole lot. It's something.
Yeah, it's a whole lot harder, right?
It's something different.
A little
than that.
challenging, right?
All I got. If all I had to do was
No.
go
We're
and
not
just grab something off.
Right. That's what we're not talking about not having to work. We're talking about the efforts necessary. Now we're looking at why does he make it thorns and thistles growing with the trees? Now you're going to work at the sweat of your brow to eat. To eat your bread, you're going to have to do it at the sweat of your brow. Why? Why is it that all of a sudden work came into play? No, that now it's going to be much more challenging to go out, to harvest, to do the work necessary to bring the food to your family in order for your family to enjoy it. The work was always there. It's the matter of the efforts necessary. All the obstacles you and I go through in life, that's all a part of the curse. The falling world that we live in is because of the transgression of man and the difficulties we will have now going into our field to reap the harvest. It's not going to be easy. They would still have to go out, pick, would have been easy. No problem. Heat wouldn't have hurt them. Wouldn't have been conditions difficult for them to harvest. The conditions for them to go work wouldn't have been difficult. But now there is difficulty. That's what he's saying. At the sweat of your brow.
Okay.
Work always existed. Always was in the mindset. That there was no way on earth. All right, you really want to go there?
Let's just go there.
If he put seed in the fruit after its kind, right? obviously there was going to be reproduction of that fruit because the original tree would not stay forever, right?
Right.
Well, like, how do you reproduce? You got to put in work.
This guy. This guy here. This guy.
What? I mean, I'm just saying, honestly.
I'm not going there with you right now.
Effort. I'm using
Yes.
effort. It was always there. That's what I'm saying. The effort was always existing. People do have difficulty now reproducing. That's a part of the fall of man.
Yeah.
God even tells Adam and Eve, or Timothy, Paul tells Timothy about Adam and Eve's fall, how she will have difficulty at childbirth. There will be difficulty there, difficulty in reproducing, but she shall be saved at childbearing, meaning she will get the help as she remains confident and trusted in the Lord to give her the strength for those times. This is all about, but the effort to make the children was always there. It's not like Eve would just have a child without the efforts of Adam. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not trying to play games with the word, put that work in and joke about it.
Well, no,
I'm making reference to the fact that the seed was necessary to reproduce. The effort is there. But now there are difficulties reproducing in the physical. That people do have challenges. There are difficulties for people to have children and so on. That's all a part of the fall. And therefore, it's also extended in the seed of the apple, the seed of the orange. Seed after its kind still needed to be planted, still needed to be harvested so that Adam could bring home the fruits of his labor to his family. But it wouldn't have been with so much effort as after the curse. Now it's with great effort.
I think that's a good point to, just with equivocation, using the word work and work, especially nowadays, how we see work, in a cubicle or if you're self-employed versus what we're addressing from work here is one is actually addressing effort necessary to,
outcomes, to get the outcomes,
yes,
the results.
To get a result. And so, it's hard for people in their mindset to be like, no, see, we was cursed because we didn't have to do all that before. When we're addressing work, is there was always going to be effort
work
in accomplishing a task. God was never just supposed to sit back and say, all this is done.
Yeah.
Even though there's a beautiful garden there, like you said, God's not sitting back like, feed me grapes, like, and it just drops down. Like, there's still things going on. And if you talked about having dominion over these animals, right? Especially like fishing and or with fishes and anything like that. That's gonna require some effort. How do you just get dominion without doing anything?
There's something you have. So you can see the intrinsic value laced through the information that we read in Scripture regarding the tendency of humanity to have to put in work to get the results. God created the format that way. He designed humanity that way. Fruit-bearing seed after its kind. Why? Because the original plant would not live forever. It would reproduce. It would continue to spread. How is that seed going to be harvested? How am I going to bring the harvest home? How do I actually eat? How do I get that food to my children and into my children who are strong enough to lift up a fork or to cook for themselves? That's effort. To keep my child nourished, I must feed them. That requires me to cook and feed them. But after the fall of man, the curse to the ground, the efforts now will be met with strong resistance or difficulties, or the condition will be very challenging to get the results you're looking for, that you'd have to put in much more effort, the sweat of your brow. If you sweat, you're exerting much energy. It wasn't like that at first, but now it has to be.
I want to switch up some things real quick.
You with me?
I'm with you, but I have a question now. Do you think that there's such thing as working too much?
I would say it's based on what kind of priorities you have in life, okay? Meaning, they call somebody a workaholic, right? I just today at work.
That was God.
It chose the
isn't that what they
topic, and
say?
man, we're two or three. Man, we're touching and agreeing here. Man, out of mouth of two or three witnesses, the man got confirmation that he's on track today with God.
Put in that work. And,
Man,
that's what happened.
that. Okay. Anyways, just today, a guy was explaining to us a story about how he got his business going. He put in so much effort, it destroyed his marriage. He's divorced right now, has 4 kids. He says the wife is a phenomenal mother. Excellent. But he, because of his commitment to his work, destroyed his relationship with his wife. They got a divorce. But he looks at her as like, yo, she is a bomb mother. She's great to his children. He takes care of them. They go to a very good school system. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's black, African American children, only black kids in the school system. So he makes sure that, because his wife, or his ex-wife, lives in a home, outside the city limits of Buffalo, and so on. What I'm getting at is this: to answer your question, is there ever such thing as working too hard or too much work? If the priorities are, I make sure that God is first, family is second, right? Then my work and so on. Then I have to make sure I'm keeping those priorities where they belong. If I am exerting so much energy into my career that I have caused my children to suffer having a father at home, you're working too much. Not too hard, because you can still spend 8 hours working very hard, but go home and have quality time with your family. Too much is you're doing so much throughout the day for your career, you're spending no time cultivating a relationship with your family.
So you feel like you can never work too hard?
No, you can never work too hard, but you can work too much. Like, I think that it's, I have a phrase. Vince Lombardi said this.
Okay.
If you're not fired with enthusiasm, you'll be fired with enthusiasm. I love that.
I bet you do.
I do love that.
I bet you do.
I do. That enthusiasm or that hard work that you commit yourself to, if there's a point, if I'm scheduled a 8-hour shift, work hard for those 8 hours. Now, again, if I feel like the boss man is taking advantage of me, that's different. We're not talking about working hard, like literally excessively hard, that somebody's putting more than what you should actually be doing. We're not talking about that. But I'm saying within your own soul, in your own personhood, you commit yourself to, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to knock this task out. I'm going to do this task. I'm pushing myself. After my shift is over, I'm done. I'm going home. I'm spending quality time, building a relationship with my family, making sure I love my wife, I love my children, and so on, right?
Right.
That's somebody who works hard to go home, and they spend time with their family. And now, at the end of the day, they're tired. Why? Not lazy. They're tired. Why? Because they put in a good day's work. They worked hard, then spent quality time having a relationship with their family, talking to their children, seeing how they did in school, maybe encourage them, maybe spend some time working on their homework with them or taking them wherever they have to go, do whatever. Now when it's time to go to sleep, man, you're like, yo, I'm tired. That's good. That means you did something that had value to it. But lazy? Nah, fam. God never ordains laziness.
No, he definitely wants me to prosper, though. Definitely.
First of all, you already know how I feel about. I pray to God, everybody in my church prospers. I think that would be awesome. It's how you prosper, right? That's what I'm looking. That's what I'm concerned about. How you prosper is the problem, not that you have prospered. If you work hard, the quality of your work people value, and they look at it. And they'd be like, yo, I want that person. Yo, I want that person. Or you feel you're valuable than what you're getting paid, and you confront your boss by saying, hey, it's time for us to negotiate some compensation here. And they're willing to have that conversation, and you're strong enough mentally to engage that conversation and set it up to where you're articulating facts about why you should get a raise, and they respect it and they give you a raise, and now you're prospering. That's God blessed right there. That's a blessing. Take it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're doing shady stuff, you're lying, cheating, stealing, doing crooked stuff, manipulating people, taking advantage of people's weaknesses and so on to get prosper, no, you're trash. You're trash. And if you're calling yourself a Christian, you're double trash.
2 more things, and then we can close.
Yeah, he don't like when I get revved up like this. He likes to play the political.
Just.
Nah, it's for real.
No, I get it. Work is great, and there are a lot of people putting in a lot of work. Some people don't work as hard as other people, but we can't discredit. Like some people put in 8 hours, some people put in 13, and they look
16.
down.
Sometimes they do 16.
They look down at people because they didn't put in a double or something. Relax. Their job entailed them to do 8 hours. Don't look down. They're not lazy because they didn't do 13 hours.
This dude trying to talk to me right now.
Okay, so as a believer, so we kind of work through getting to see hard work versus being lazy. Shouldn't there also though be a mindset that comes from this hard worker though that's a believer, that though they're working hard because they never can work too hard, but they can work too much, that their mindset is still looking on helping others though? And what I mean by that is,
explain that.
There is a parable in which a man had, some fields or whatever, and he thought to himself, like, whew, I have this great land, like, what should I do? Man, I should tear it down.
He said, I have so much. What should I do with all that my fields are producing? I mean, I'm prospering.
So wait, so he's prospering. So time out. Right there, we know he's working hard to get that.
Whatever he's doing, yes.
Right?
Yep.
So he's working hard.
Yep.
He's doing everything the correct way.
Yep.
But yet, at the end of the parable, we know that he was a foolish individual.
Yep.
And God took him, in the parable,
The parable says, thou fool, thy soul shall be required of you this night. Then whose goods are they that you stored up?
Right. So I just wanted to throw that in there to state that, we do not diminish hard work, especially in this day and age where people try to find ways to cut corners. But at the same time, our heart and our mindset should always still be thinking, though, that with what we have, we still, after we take care of our household, we still should be thinking about
tithe.
Well, going with this tithing thing, we should be thinking about others. Well, giving.
I get it.
We should be thinking about others because then you can develop this mindset where it's like, I got it on my own, go get it yourself. And if that's the case, then what do we do with all these verses about helping out the poor then? Who's supposed to help out the poor? Not the poor.
So what is your question? Are you saying...
My question is, well, it wasn't a question. It was just to make a statement. That we should, as we talk about working hard and not being lazy, we should also say that person who is going to work hard was like, yeah, I'm loving this episode. Work hard.
Right.
Don't forget the fact that even though you got this on your own and you did this like... God, as a believer, God is still requiring you, though, that when you get these blessings, to help out others who are in need. Because that sometimes could be a mindset where it's like, nah, I got it on my own. Go get it yourself.
Listen, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 17.
Go ahead. Just
go ahead
and start with that. First Timothy 6.
Charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy, that they do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate, laying up in store for themselves a good foundation against the time to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life. Okay? Now, there are other verses that go with that. Okay? Give
ready to distribute.
Willing is a spirit. It's a mentality. It's a conditioned soul. Willing to communicate. The word communicate there is in the archaic form, which refers to willing to give. To communicate in this reference means to give, not to speak, but to give. So that's the archaic form and how they used to use the word communicate. Communicating with one another would be to give to one another. Ready to distribute, willing to communicate. You with me?
I'm with you.
He's referencing the rich. He's referencing those that are prospering. Doesn't tell them not to be rich. Doesn't tell them not to prosper.
Right.
He's talking to their mindset as they're being rich.
Right.
And as they're prospering.
Right.
As they're working hard and achieving and gaining the revenue off of their hard work, be willing to also learn how to help others. Jesus uses a reference, and he says this.
And we'll close on this thought.
I think it's in Mark 7. I think.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, right?
We're not editing this out, so.
No, it's all good. Matthew, let me see if it's in Matthew 5 or 6. Where is it where it says, give and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, shall man give into your bosom? I think that's, I thought that was,
I'm taking a sabbatical.
man, he took a sabbatical. Man, the guy doesn't know what's going on anymore for right now. I got it. I think I got it.
It's in Luke 6.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Luke 6.
38.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. It says this. Luke 6:38 says, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together, and running over shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that you meet, with all shall it be measured unto you. Now, you and people in our church at CCA have heard me teach this. So often, they use this verse at the time of giving their offerings at church. The preacher man will get up to inspire, to coerce, to manipulate your mind and giving by using this verse, by throwing you like into a slot machine mentality. Give, pull the trigger, pull the slot machine, and shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give into your bosom. Jesus is not teaching you how to give to the offering plate. He's talking about how you are in society and what people see about you and your personhood. While you're giving, they're noticing you giving to others in need. From you prospering, you're willing to give. Jump over to 2 Corinthians where it talks about if you give abundantly, you shall reap abundantly. If you give sparingly, you will reap sparingly. Why? Your reaping is so that you will increase, so that it will increase your giving. Not so that you can increase your storehouses. Paul specifically identifies the purpose of the increase is for you to increase your giving. That's why God prospers you. I said something on, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you were in church or not.
2 weeks? I think I was on vacation. Oh, go ahead.
And he was on vacation. But anyways, I said, a vessel is used to be poured out. A vessel isn't just supposed to absorb and have the bubbly stay in it. You with me? So when we think about being filled, we're not being filled to feel good about ourselves and feel good about what we have in God. We're filled to be poured out for others. We're blessed to be poured out for others. You with me? So if I'm a vessel of God, as you say you are, you're filled not to enjoy everything. You're filled to be poured out for the less fortunate. You with me? So that's the mentality of, as you work hard, you're blessed, you get increase, you get a raise, you get a bonus or whatever. Where's your mindset on helping? What are you doing with those increases? Do you continue to still give the tiny bit that you give? Or do you see yourself having an opportunity to give to more people because you're capable of giving to more people?
I think that's a good point. And, I know this is one of your pet peeves.
It is. That's why I just be talking about it because it angers me.
On addressing it.
But it points out, but I live by this. God has blessed me greatly. God has allowed me to be promoted, to obtain bonuses, to obtain salary increases. While other people are waiting on their annual merit increase, I refuse to just get a raise on my merit increase, which is 2 or 3%, which is really just $20 extra a week in your paycheck.
This guy here.
I'm saying, I'm not dissing it. What I'm saying is, because I work hard, you're going to take care of me, meaning the company. You're going to pay me what I'm worth. And I go after it. And when I speak and I have the efforts and the hard work ethic behind it, they respect it and they'll be like, you know what? Okay, here you go. Of course, whatever number I give, they always chop it down a little bit, but it's much, much more than what I was currently making prior to me asking them for my raise. You with me? So I don't just try to live by just a merit increase. I'm not going to do that, and you shouldn't either. If you work hard, you shouldn't be sticking by a merit increase. What is a quarter? Like, I'm going to give you a quarter raise. Are you kidding me right now? That's a slap in the face. Like, I'm going to just go to another company. because I'm not going to live for a quarter raise. That's ridiculous. I work hard. You're going to pay me.
Okay, calm down. We didn't really get a chance to address and really dive into more of laziness in ministry and really looking at hard work.
Yeah, we want to do that next.
So we want to make sure that we save up an episode for actually coming back and addressing, hard work and laziness in actual ministry. And I think you guys would love that as believers. So after watching this, man, all I can tell you is continue to work hard. Go out there and get it. Grind. Demand. Know your worth. See you next week on Reeeal Talk. You better make sure you watch another episode. God bless.